Hey friends, are you looking for some amazing chicken crockpot recipes? Well, I have some unbelievable chicken crockpot recipes for you today. I have 4 of our family's favorites, ending with a family traditional one at the very end. You will love every one of these recipes. You've got to try them. And if this is your first time visiting, my name's Susan, and welcome. And make sure that you subscribe down below so you don't miss any of the fun. So come on, let's go ahead and get started on making one of our 4 unbelievably amazing chicken crockpot recipes. They're so good. Your family is going to enjoy them so much. So come on, let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and get some chicken in the crock pot this morning. I'm going to make some chicken queso, but I've got to get this chicken in the crock pot to get started. I basically got just some chicken tenderloin. I'm going to kind of make sure the bottom is completely covered. Yep, like that. Now the next thing I'm going to do is put in a can of rotel, some taco seasoning, make sure it's well covered, and I'm going to put in a can of water. I just want to make sure that the chicken, bottom of the chicken that is covered so it doesn't burn in any shape, form, or fashion. While this chicken is cooking, since it's frozen, it will produce a lot of water itself. So I'm going to put the top on, turn it on low, and let it cook all day while I'm at work. And I'll bring you back and you can see what it looks like whenever I get back from work. And I came home from work, and this is what I came home to. Whoop. It's fogging up the lens. I'm going to go ahead and shred the chicken. I know you've probably seen me do this before with the meat masher. And I've siphoned off just a little bit of the water so it's not quite as watery, because I am going to be adding in some queso into this to make it even better. Now the kind I've got is the Gordon's home style. It is a little bit spicy. I like my food with a little bit of flavor in it, to say the least. And I'm going to go ahead and put the whole container in there. I don't know how much queso I'm supposed to actually be putting in there, but I want it cheesy because we're going to make some queso chicken quesadillas. I'm going to go ahead and get this finished stirring in. I'm going to let this set and warm until Danny gets home, and then I will finish making the quesadillas. Now let's get a quesadilla made real quick. I'm going to go ahead and put the quesadilla in the pan, let it start heating up, and I'm going to go ahead and add in the chicken meat into the quesadilla. Y'all know how I make them. Y'all have watched me make them many times before. I just do half of a tortilla. That way I can fold it over and get it to flipping brown nice and good. Let me see if I can get this up and at it. Here we go. There we go. Now, this is on about a medium. It's not extremely high. I just want to get it browned up a little bit so I can flip it and then get the other side done. I do have a little extra cheese to put on it if I think it needs it, but oh no, that's pretty cheesy. So let's see how this turns out, and I'll bring you back when I flip it. And after I flipped it a couple times, this is what it looks like. It's nice and hard on one side. I'm getting the other side nice and browned up, and it's about time to serve it up. And you can add as much of the red or green or taco seasoning, whatever you want on it to make it as spicy as you want. The queso that I put in here was a spicy queso, or at least decently spicy. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of cheese on the top, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it. I like doing it like a pizza. And it's got lots of good chicken in there. A little bit of sour cream on each one. And there you go. Queso chicken quesadilla. And that's what's for supper tonight. And it's early morning, and we're about to make some smothered chicken in the crock pot. Simple, easy. I mean, you can't get much easier than this. I've got some frozen chicken breasts right here. I actually put them in the fridge and they're not defrosted yet, but that's okay. They'll be fine in the crock pot all day cooking while I'm gone to work. I've got some garlic powder, some chicken bouillon, a chicken gravy mix, a cup of water, some onion soup mix, and a can of cream of chicken soup. And that's all we need to get all this in the crock pot and get it going. Now I'm going to go ahead and put all the ingredients in before I put my chicken in. First thing I'm going to do is put the water in. This is 1 cup of water. I'm going to add the chicken gravy mix in. I'm going to add the onion soup mix in. I'm going to add the bouillon, the chicken bouillon, and the garlic powder in. The can of cream of chicken soup is going in next. I'm going to go ahead and mix the ingredients around. That way all the flavors get well incorporated. Make sure I get any lumps dispersed nicely. So that's looking pretty good. The next thing is going to be the chicken itself. And the chicken did defrost enough to where I could separate it out at least. So I'm going to go ahead and get that into the crock pot. Now I am going to try to get some of this on both sides. So I am just going to flip them over. Because once these start cooking, they will make a little bit more water and it will go above where the chicken is. So that's not a problem. But I do like to get this, or get the chicken breast, that is, pretty saturated with the mix. Now, I'm going to put this on low, put the crock pot lid on, and go to work. And whenever I come home from work, I'll show you what it looks like. And I came home from work tonight, and this is what I found. Look at that. And it smells amazing. Now what I'm going to do is take one of these meat mashers and go in and just basically separate up the chicken. I'm going to leave it in the juices to marinate in its own juices for just a little bit before I put it on the mashed potatoes. But look at that. That is what you call some good stuff. Now that is some definitely good gravy in there, that's for sure. If you wanted to thicken up even more, you could put a little bit of starch or cornstarch slurry or something in it. But this looks majorly good to me. And that is going on some mashed potatoes. And right here you go. Here is some of the chicken and that wonderful gravy. And it is so good. And look at that. Yep, that looks amazing. And that's what's for supper tonight. And it's Tuesday morning. And let's go ahead and get the chicken tacos started in the crock pot so they can cook all day. So when I get back from work, that they will be ready to eat. And this is the 4 of the chicken thighs that I got on sale the other day at Food Line. I'm also going to put in some Food Line taco seasoning. There we go. And a can of Rotel. Now, because those thighs are frozen, whenever they defrost, they will actually make a lot of fluid, so you don't need to add any fluid into this right now. Whenever you come home from work, check and see if it does need a little fluid added. But other than this, it's time to put the lid on and let this cook all day while we're at work. And let's get the chicken on the taco shells. I've got them laid out because I'm going to actually put them in the oven to crisp up. And I'm going to put some chicken on each side. That way I can fold them over. Look at that. That chicken looks so good. And then what I'm going to do is turn them over. Well, hold on. I need to put some cheese on it first. Let me put my cheese on it first and then turn it over. A little cheese on it first. Cheese on it first. That'll help hold the taco closed. All right. Now I'm going to do this. See if it'll cook like that without me having to put another pan on top of it. Sometimes you do. And let's get it in the oven, 350 for about 5 minutes. I'll check on it and see how done it's getting. I put them in the oven for about 10 minutes. It didn't crisp them up much, but Danny's hungry, so I gotta go ahead and get him fed. You know how that goes. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some taco sauce on each one. You don't have to put these extras on here, but you know we like our spicy. A little bit of green. A little bit of red. A little bit more cheese on top, I thought. A little bit of sour cream. And I've made 5 tacos. There is enough to make another dozen or more in there. So you can't say that this doesn't feed a ton of people, because it can. Uh-oh. And I am making a mess of everything. And here we go. Tacos, Spanish rice, and made all this for under $7.50. That is not including the little extras, the sour cream or anything like that. But you can make it. It doesn't have to cost a lot, and it is amazing. And it's actually Thanksgiving, guys, and I'm going to be doing my chicken and dumplings, but I'm going to be doing them in the crock pot. So the first thing we're going to do, I have basically 8 cups of chicken bone broth that I'm going to be putting in the crock pot. And to this bone broth, I'm going to be adding some frozen chicken tenders, believe it or not. You could get a rotisserie chicken and you could just make some 8 cups of chicken broth, or buy the chicken broth in the containers. I went ahead and had the bone broth that I had made, so I'm going to go ahead and use it because it's extremely flavorful and so good. But I'm going to be putting in chicken tenders. I normally do about 3 chicken quarters is what I'm saying. So I'm just going to put quite a bit of chicken in this. I'm thinking about 6 tenders is what I'm thinking. 6 or 8 tenders, one or the other. It's going to be really chickeny. And I've got it on low, which I'm going to turn on to high because I went ahead and put it on low to heat up the crock pot. Because that's one of the things that makes a big difference is if your crock pot's already heated. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on high and let this simmer for about 2 hours. And then I'll shred that up and we'll get to the next phase of chicken and dumplings in the crock pot. After letting the chicken cook for about 1.5 hours, I pulled it out and shredded it up, and then I added it back to the chicken broth. And I went ahead and let it simmer in its juices until the 2 hours was up so it could get nice and juicy. The chicken's been cooking on high in the crock pot for 2 hours. I'm going to go ahead and open that up, give it a good stir. That's looking really good. Next thing I'm going to do is add the cream of chicken soup into the mix. And I'm going to give it a good stir. I have a second can of cream of chicken soup just in case. There's sometimes whenever I do one, sometimes I do 2. With this, I may need to do 2. I will find out once I get all the noodles into the pot. Now the next thing I'm going to do is make the biscuit dough. And I'm just going to buy my biscuit dough recipe, which is 2 cups of self-rising flour, and 1 stick of butter, which I have went ahead and pretty much melted. For these, you don't have to worry about layering them like we do for a regular biscuit. We're just making dumplings. So I'm going to put that in there. And 3/4 cup of milk. Now I'm going to go ahead and stir this together until all of it gets nice and combined. Now when the dough gets well combined, I'm going to go ahead and start making my balls, or my noodles. I make dough balls for mine. You don't need them to be big, you just need them to be semi-small. See that? That looks really big on camera. It's not. But that's about the size you need to try to make all of them similar. And you'll wind up with bigger ones and smaller ones. But I'm going to go through this whole bowl and make dumplings. And then I'll show you what I do next. And here's the bowl full of the dumplings. Now, in order to put them in your chicken mixture, you need to do one thing. Choose out the bigger dumplings. the ones that look like they're bigger and meatier, because they will plump up to about twice this size. Those are the first run of dumplings you're going to put in. I'm going to go ahead and get all the big ones, probably about half of what I've got here, but the biggest ones, and put them in for the first cooking, because you are going to add the second ones in after these get through cooking. That way you can see how much of the cream of chicken soup you need to put in, that kind of thing. And watch them. They're already plumping up. They're looking so good. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this up with the bigger ones, and then reserve the smaller ones for the second cooking time. And I'm going to put the lid back on and probably let these cook for about an hour. It's still on high, but you'll see they will plump up and then start dissipating, and that's whenever it makes the juice real thick and good. So let's get this cover on and let it cook for 1 more hour. And 1 hour later, this is what it looks like. And what you want to do is go like this, gently, and any of those pieces of dumplings that haven't completely dissolved will start dissolving, because we've got about an hour left. I'm going to go ahead and add in some of my chicken spice, which I need to make some more. I'm about out. I'll put the recipe down below, because this is what makes it really good. Now, mind you, my bone broth I've got in here is amazingly flavorful as it is. I basically do it overnight and let it cook in the crock pot overnight, and it is so good. Oh, see how thick it's starting to get? Like I said, I'm not going to add the second can of cream of chicken soup until we get through with the second batch of dumplings. So I've got about an hour of cooking left. So I want to go ahead and put that second batch in. And yes, I did put them in the fridge to keep them nice and cool until I added them in. Now I am going to go ahead and drop in, and be very careful because this is hot, those dumplings. They're not going to float as easy because they are cold. That'll take them just a little bit longer to cook up and start dissipating, because you do want dumplings in this whenever you serve it up. There we go. Now, as you see, they're starting to float. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on low because I have 1 hour left, and let this cool down just a little bit as it's cooking, not much, and then we'll see how thick it is when I come back in an hour, if I need to add the second can of cream of chicken soup. And it's been another hour, and you can see how big this second batch has been, and I've had it on low. I don't think I'm going to put any more chicken dumpling soup, cream of chicken soup in it. Look how thick it is. It is so thick. I think we're good. I think I'll put just a little bit more of my chicken spice in it, and we'll call it golden. This, I tell you, is the best chicken and dumplings. Just ask my granddaughter. She'll tell you the same. So funny. But this is ready to eat, guys. Whether you do it on the oven top or in the crock pot, this is what you call a really good meal. Now, you know, those 4 recipes were so absolutely amazing. Your family is going to love them when you make them. And you know, I always list the recipe in the description down below. Don't forget to subscribe. You know you don't want to miss any of the upcoming fun. And if you enjoyed this video, here's another video for you to watch. Lots of good food ideas. And until next time, have a great week.